Can I be honest with you for a sec? Because I think we've been lying to young men for a real long time. And it's not because we're trying to. I think most people genuinely mean well. But think about it, man. Some dude's broke, join the military. He gets dumped, join the military. Doesn't know what he wants to do with his life, military. Oh, you feel like he's wasting potential? Military. Oh, you need discipline? Military. It's almost like we turn the military into the answer for every dude that's having an identity crisis. And here's what's crazy, bro, is I actually understand why. Because from the outside, it looks like it works. Seriously, so you get some kid that leaves your hometown. 6 months later, he comes back. Fresh haircut, standing taller, walking around like he's actually got somewhere to be. Now he got confidence, he got stories and purpose. And everybody back home starts thinking, dang, the military really changed that dude. Now, hold on. I'm not saying that it didn't, okay? The Marine Corps absolutely changed my life. I'd be lying right now if I tell you that it didn't. It gave me confidence, discipline, stories, perspective, brothers I'm going to have for the rest of my life. But it also gave me some of the dumbest experiences a human being can legally have. Like, bro, you ever cut grass with scissors? Yeah, me neither, until the Marine Corps. Or how about this? It's pouring rain outside. Somebody hands you a mop. Go dry that sidewalk right now. And you're standing there thinking, there's absolutely no way that this is real. And the crazy part is that nobody argues anymore. You're just like, all right, Corporal. And looking back now, I don't think they really cared about the sidewalk. I think they cared about seeing who was going to complain. Because anybody can do the right thing when it makes perfect sense. Character starts showing up when it doesn't. And that, my friends, is where I think people completely misunderstand the military. They see the confidence. They just don't see the thousands of tiny moments that actually built it. Everybody wants confidence. Nobody wants to collect the receipts that actually create it. Everybody wants to be dangerous. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable long enough to become dangerous. Think about that for a sec. Because that's not just the military. That's life. Everybody wants the after picture. Nobody wants Tuesday. And Tuesday is where the military lives. It's not the recruiting commercial, not the montage, not the dress blues, the helicopter flying across the sunset while dramatic music plays. Tuesday. You're tired, you're hungry, somebody lost a piece of gear, and now it's everybody's problem. Some freaking lieutenant had an idea. You already know it's about to ruin your day, and somehow y'all still laughing because misery really does love company. This is why I'm telling you guys all of this. A buddy of mine taught me something years ago and he didn't even realize it. So we grew up in the same neighborhood. He knew me before the Marine Corps. Every time that I'd come home on leave, we'd hang out. Now, he would notice the little things like my haircut, the way I carried myself, confidence, stories, whatever. Not because I was trying to show off, nothing like that. I honestly didn't even notice I was changing. But he did. And one day I realized something. He wasn't looking at me thinking, I want to be a Marine. He was looking at me thinking, I want to become that guy. And those are not the same thing, right? And this is where that lie begins. Because he looked at me, and I don't think like he really wanted to be a Marine. I think he wanted whatever the Marine Corps had done to me. And yeah, honestly, I 100% get it. Because if you're stuck in the same city, working the same job, seeing the same people, watching somebody leave and come back looking completely different, bro, you're going to start asking yourself some questions. Like, what did he figure out that I haven't? What happened to him? Maybe that's what I need. And here's where I wish somebody would have pulled him aside. And not to tell him not to join, right? Just to ask him one question. What exactly are you hoping that the military is going to give you, bro? Seriously, stop for a second and think about your own answer. Not the answer that you tell your recruiter or that you tell your parents. Like your real answer. If I sat across from you right now, it's just me and you, and I asked, why do you actually want to join? What would you say? Because I don't think most people ever really answered that honestly. They say, I want discipline. All right, cool. Why? I want purpose. All right, why? I want to become a man. All right, what does that even mean? No, seriously, think about it. Because we throw these words around all the time. Discipline, purpose, confidence, respect, brotherhood. Like, they're great words. They sound awesome. But most people never stop long enough to ask, like, what am I actually chasing? And I think that's where people accidentally lie to themselves. See, my buddy was always talking about the confidence. He asked me questions like, hey, what was boot camp like? Were the drill instructors really that crazy? What was deployment like? What was it like being a Marine? And I'd answer him. But looking back, I don't think he was listening to my answers. I think he was watching me. He just saw the confidence, the stories, and he saw somebody who looked like they finally had direction. Like, He saw proof that somebody from our neighborhood can become something bigger than where we came from. And that is powerful, especially when you're young, especially when you feel stuck, especially when you're looking around thinking like, is this really it? Bro, that's a scary feeling to have, man. Feeling like your entire life is already planned out and you ain't even get to vote on it. And I know that feeling because a lot of us do. And that's why the military becomes so freaking attractive, because it feels like movement. It feels like momentum. It feels like you're finally doing something. And look, don't get me wrong. Sometimes that's exactly what you need. Sometimes getting out of that environment is the best decision that you'll ever make. And I'm not one of those people that's going to tell you like you can succeed anywhere. Maybe, but maybe your environment sucks balls. Maybe every friend you've got is pulling you backwards. Maybe everybody around you has accepted mediocrity. And maybe your hometown is slowly convincing you to settle for a life that you don't actually want. Sometimes you need to leave, and there's nothing wrong with that. But hear me out now. Leaving your environment and changing your identity are not automatically the same thing. You can drive 1,000 freaking miles away and still bring every insecurity with you. You can put on a uniform and still hate the person looking back at you in the mirror. Yeah, you can earn that title, and you can still absolutely have no idea who you are. Nobody told my buddy that, so he joined Army Infantry. And I remember thinking, man, he gonna love this. Yeah, I was wrong. He hated it. Not the first week, not the first month. He hated everything, man. The lifestyle, the day-to-day. He hated everything that happened in between the stories he imagined telling one day. And that's when it finally clicked for me. He did not want the life. He wanted the outcome. Man, those are not the same, bro. It's like saying, look, I want to be in incredible shape, but I hate working out. Or how about this one? Look, I want to be financially free, but I don't want to budget, sacrifice, or work extra hours. Everybody wants that reward. But very few people fall in love with the process that actually earns it. And the military is one of the quickest places on earth to expose that. Because eventually what happens, man, the excitement wears off. That newness disappears. Those cool Instagram pictures stop. And now it's just Tuesday again. And Tuesday doesn't care why you joined. You know what I think is funny, though? How about this? Ask 10 people why they joined the military. I bet you half of them will give you the answers they think they're supposed to give. I wanted to serve my country. And for some people, man, that could be true. But if you've been around the military long enough, you're going to start hearing those real answers, man. I was broke. I was tired of getting in trouble. I needed to get out of my hometown. I wanted college paid for, bro. My dad was in. I had nothing else going on. I wanted to prove people wrong. And honestly, none of those automatically make you a bad candidate. I actually think people are just way too hard on themselves about that. Not everybody has this dramatic movie where an eagle flies overhead and suddenly they hear the national anthem in surround sound. Sometimes you're just a 19-year-old kid thinking, bro, if I stay here another 5 years, I'm going to lose my mind, right? And that's real, man. But here's a question I wish that more people would ask. What am I expecting the military to fix? Not what do I want to do? Not which branch pays more, not what has the coolest job. What are you expecting this thing to fix? Because your answer to that question actually matters a lot more than your MOS, man. Think about it. If you're joining because you want to challenge yourself, yeah, you're probably going to find that. If you're joining because you want skills, yep, you're going to get them. If you're joining because you want structure, oh, trust me, bro, you getting structure whether you ordered it or not. But if you're joining because you think the military is finally going to make you happy, hey, that's a dangerous expectation to put on anything, right? Because no job can carry that weight. No relationship can. No amount of money can carry that weight. And the military sure as hell can't. Because happiness isn't behind this uniform waiting for you to show up. And neither is confidence. Neither is purpose. Those things get built slowly, unfortunately. And usually on days that honestly kind of suck balls. And you know what nobody tells you? The biggest changes in your life almost never happen during those exciting moments. They happen during the most boring ones. The days you didn't feel like doing anything, but you did it anyway. And nobody clapped, nobody noticed, nobody gives you no medals for that. You just quietly become a little bit harder to quit. And honestly, I think that's why so many people misunderstand the confidence, right? They think confidence comes first. One day you wake up, feel confident, and then you start doing things. But bro, that's actually kind of backwards. Like you do the hard things over and over and over again. And then one day your brain finally goes, oh, yeah, I guess we can handle this. That, my friends, is confidence, right? It's not something you're born with. It's evidence. That thing is proof you survived things you once thought would break you. And the military gives you a lot of opportunities to collect that proof. But here's the catch, though. It ain't going to collect it for you. You still got to show up. You got to stop making excuses. And you still have to decide, I'm going to become the kind of person I respect. Because nobody, not your drill instructors, your NCOs, officers, can make that decision for you. Like, yeah, they can push you, they can challenge you. Hey, sometimes they'll make your life absolutely miserable. But they can't really reach inside of your head and choose your attitude. Because only you could do that. And once I realized that, I stopped saying the Marine Corps changed me. I started saying the Marine Corps gave me a chance to change. Man, those are two completely different statements. One gives you all the credit of the institution. The other reminds me, I still had to do the hard work. And honestly, I think that's a much better reason to join. And you know what? I think we completely screwed up as a society here. We've convinced people that discipline feels like motivation. It doesn't, bro. Not even close. Motivation is fun, man. You watch a David Goggins video, you listen to some badass music, you fired up, you ready to change your life for like, what, 45 minutes? Because discipline is what happens after that feeling disappears. And bro, that's why the military works for some people. Not because they magically become disciplined, because eventually you just stop negotiating with yourself. Think about how much time we spend negotiating. I'll start Monday. I'll do that tomorrow. Man, I'm just tired, bro. I don't feel like it. I deserve a break. Man, we've all done that. Hell, I still do it sometimes. The difference is the military does not care how you feel. You still getting up, you're still going, you're still cleaning, you're still training, you're still showing up to everything. And after enough repetitions, something weird starts happening because you stop asking yourself if you feel like doing it, you just do it. I didn't even notice it while I was in. Like, honestly, bro, it wasn't some big movie moment. There wasn't this day where I woke up and thought, dang, I'm more disciplined now. Nope. Life just got easier, and it's not because it changed. It's because I stopped arguing with myself. That might have been one of the biggest lessons I ever learned, I think. You know, most people don't lose to life. They lose to the conversation that's happening inside of their own head. Like, I don't feel like it, man. I'll do it later. What if I fail? What if I look stupid? And the military doesn't magically silence those voices. It just gives them less room to win. And the thing that I didn't even realize until years after I got out, man, the biggest gift the Marine Corps gave me wasn't confidence, discipline, perseverance, resilience, whatever. It was proof that I could do things I used to think were impossible. Because once you've done something like incredibly difficult, your excuses start to sound really weak. Think about it, man. If you slept in the dirt, worked on almost no sleep, been cold, been wet, miserable, been yelled at, had days where absolutely nothing made sense, then one day your brain tries telling you, hey, you can't go to the gym today. Like, bro, yes, you can. You just don't want to, bro. And those are not the same thing, man. And that's another lie that people believe. Like, we confuse I can't with I don't want to. Man, worlds apart. Completely different things. One is ability, and the other one's honesty. And I think if more people were honest with themselves, their lives would change overnight. And that's not because life gets easier, like I said, because excuses just get harder to believe. Now, before everybody in the comments starts saying, so are you saying that everybody should join the military? No, not even a little. Actually, I think that's the wrong conclusion, because if all you need is discomfort to grow, man, there's 1,000 ways to find discomfort. The military is just one of them, and it's an incredible one, all right? But it's still one. The reason it worked for me wasn't because it was the Marine Corps. It was because it was the first time in my life I couldn't quit when things got inconvenient. And honestly, I think that's becoming a lost skill. Like, we're surrounded by escape routes now. Don't like your job? Quit. Don't like the workout? Leave, bro. Relationship gets hard? Swipe again. Everything today is designed to make us comfortable, but growth almost never is. That's why I think the military does still matter. And it's not because it produces superheroes or anything crazy like that. Because for a few years, it just takes away those escape routes. And when quitting isn't an option, you find out who you've been negotiating with the entire time. Usually, it's yourself. You know, I don't even think the military changes people. Maybe that's not the right way to say it anymore. I used to say it all the time. But the older I get, the more I think that's backwards. The military doesn't build character, it reveals it. So think about it. Pressure got this weird way of introducing you to yourself. I'm talking about the version that shows up when you exhausted, you cold, hungry, frustrated, you ain't slept, somebody's getting on your nerves, everything hurts. Now, who are you? Because that guy, that's the real guy right there. Anybody can be a great dude when life is easy for you. Like anybody, easiest thing ever to do. It's easy to be patient when nothing is testing your patience. It's easy to be humble when everything is just going your way. It's easy to talk about loyalty when nobody's asking anything from you. And that's why pressure changes these questions, y'all. I'm telling you, because suddenly you start getting answers you didn't even know were there. I've seen the loudest guy in the room completely shut down when things got hard. And I've seen the quiet dude that nobody noticed become the one every single person depended on. I've seen guys that look like absolute physical badasses physically, and they quit mentally. And I've seen these skinny little dudes that look like the wind would knock them over be absolute animals when things got difficult. And that's why I laugh when people think they know what kind of Marine they're going to be before they even get there. Because, bro, you have no idea. Neither did I. And life has a funny way of introducing you to yourself. Yeah, you think you're patient until you're surrounded by people who test every single freaking ounce of it. Oh, yeah, you think you're humble until somebody younger than you starts telling you what to do. Oh, yeah, you're mentally tough, right? Until it's 2:30 in the morning and you're standing in the rain wondering why you're guarding a building that nobody's trying to break into. And somehow those ridiculous moments become the stories you laugh about the most. And you know why? Because suffering shared with good people has this weird way of turning into gratitude later. Like at the same time, you're thinking, man, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. 5 years later, you're crying, laughing, telling this story. Human beings are just weird like that, man. Here's a part that really changed how I think. I used to believe confidence came from accomplishing like really hard things. But now I think confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself. Think about that. Every time you tell yourself, I'm going to do this, and then you actually do it, man, your brain keeps score of that every time. Nobody else sees it, but you do. And every time you break that promise, your brain keeps score of that too. That's why confidence is not loud, y'all. It is quiet. It's walking into a difficult situation and thinking, man, I've handled worse. Not because you're fearless, right? But because you've got receipts, you got proof, you got evidence, you got real confidence. And that's why I don't think confidence can really be given to you. Not by the Marine Corps, not by money, relationships, followers, success, whatever. It has to be earned. And you earn it through one promise at a time. Which brings me to something I wish somebody had told my buddy that day. Because honestly, I think it would have changed everything for him. He thought confidence came from being infantry, but it didn't. Confidence would have come from becoming the kind of man who would have stayed committed. Even if he had never wore that uniform. The uniform is never the source. It was just the opportunity. And those are really different. Because if your confidence only exists while you're wearing the title, what happens when that thing goes away? That's the question nobody asks at 19 years old. But everybody has to answer eventually. And I think that's why so many veterans struggle after they get out. And it's not because they miss wearing the uniform, right? Like some do. I definitely miss it. But I don't think that's what they really miss, man. I think they miss clarity. Think about it. For years, somebody else tells you where to be, what to wear, who's counting on you, where you're sleeping, where you're eating, like what's expected of you. You don't have to wake up every morning wondering, man, what should I do with my life today? The answer's already there, bro. You got no other options. Then one day, poof, it's gone. Now it's just, yeah, good luck, figure it out. Nobody talks about that enough. People think getting out is just, cool, now I can grow my beard. Like, yeah, I get it. But bro, I promise you, man, the beard is not the hard part. The hard part is realizing that nobody's coming to tell you what your mission is anymore. And for some people, that is freaking terrifying. Because if you built your entire identity around being a Marine, what happens when you're not one anymore? Notice I didn't say you stop being a Marine. I'm talking about identity. There is a difference. I'm proud to have earned that title. I always will be. Like, nobody can take that away. But if the title is the only thing holding your life together, that is a huge problem. Because eventually life asks a question the Marine Corps cannot answer for you. Who are you now. Not what did you used to be. Who are you today? And I don't care if you're 18 thinking about joining or 60 and retired, right? Like every single person watching this has to answer that question eventually, because this isn't really a military conversation anymore. It's like a life conversation. The military just shines this giant spotlight on it. And you know what I realized? People spend so much time trying to find themselves when they should be building themselves. Think about how weird that phrase is. I'm trying to find myself. Like, bro, where'd you go? Did you leave yourself at Walmart? No, man. You build yourself one decision at a time, one habit at a time, one kept promise at a time, one uncomfortable day at a time. Nobody finds discipline. Nobody finds confidence. They don't find character. You build it very slowly. And it's usually when nobody's watching. And I think that's why so many people are disappointed when they join. And it's not because the military lied to them. I mean, the recruiters probably did a little bit, but it's because they expected it to build something they weren't participating in. That's like hiring a personal trainer and then getting mad because they won't do your push-ups for you. That's not how that works. The military will absolutely push you, sometimes harder than you ever thought possible, but eventually it hands the responsibility back to you. Because one day nobody's checking anymore to see if your room is clean. They're not making sure you're at the gym. Nobody's telling you to study. Nobody's making you show up anywhere. It is just you, man. And I honestly think that's the graduation nobody talks about. Not boot camp, not MOS school, not these promotions. The real graduation is the day nobody's making you do the right thing and you just do it anyway. It's a definition of integrity or whatever. But that's when you know it actually became a part of you. And it's not because somebody yelled or because you get in trouble, because that's just who you are now. And if the military helps you become that person, it was worth every miserable Tuesday, because at the end of the day, the greatest thing the Marine Corps ever gave me was not a title. It was proof that I was capable of becoming someone I used to think I couldn't be. And once you have that kind of proof, it changes the way you look at every challenge for the rest of your life. Let me answer the question I started this whole video with. Should you join the military? Maybe. Like seriously, just a maybe. And I know that's probably not the answer you wanted. You want me to tell you yes or no. But look, I cannot answer any of that for you because I don't know what you're chasing. And honestly, I think that's the better question, not should I join? Because if you're chasing challenge, you're in the right place. If you're chasing an opportunity to prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you just been settling for, man, the military can absolutely give you that opportunity. But if you are chasing an escape, slow down. If you're chasing a new identity, slow down. If you're chasing happiness, slow down. Because here's something I wish somebody would have explained to me when I was younger. Changing your location doesn't automatically change your direction, right? Like you can move across the country, still be the same person. You can change jobs, still have the same habits. You can get married and still be lonely. You can be a Marine and still not like yourself. And I know that's not the sexy answer. I know it doesn't fit in a recruiting commercial and it doesn't fit on some motivational Instagram reel, but look, it's true. The hardest person you'll ever have to lead is yourself. And the crazy part is that nobody can do that for you. Not drill instructors, not NCOs, not officers, not your wife, not your parents, not your pastor, not your boss, not your favorite YouTuber, not me. Because at some point, every single one of us has to decide, who am I going to become when nobody is making me do it? That, my friends, is adulthood. And that's where character lives. Not when somebody's watching, when nobody is. So yeah, man, I used to think the Marine Corps gave me confidence, but now I'm starting to realize it just gave me evidence. Like I could survive hard things. I could function when I'm tired. I could do things that I've sworn were impossible a few years earlier. And once you've got that evidence, life gets a whole lot quieter, because every time that little voice in your head is like, hey man, you can't do it. Well, you got receipts. You've been there before. You've done harder than that. You figured it out before. And that's a really hard thing for life to take away from you. But that's why I'll always be grateful for the Marine Corps. And it's not because it made me who I am, because it introduced me to someone that I hadn't met yet. Me. The version of me that comfort was hiding. The version that showed up when quitting was not an option. The version that learned you're capable of way more than your feelings will ever convince you of. And you know what? Maybe that's the real lie about joining the military. People think they're signing up to become someone else, and they're not. They're signing up for an opportunity to find out who they've been avoiding becoming all along. Because those are different things, man. So look, if you are thinking about joining, don't ask yourself, what else fixed me? Ask yourself, am I willing to become uncomfortable long enough to build someone I'm actually proud of? Because look, if that answer is yes, whether it's the military, college, starting a business, learning a trade, or whatever path that demands something from you, right? You're already asking a much better question than most people ever do. And that is where that real change starts. It's not a contract, not a uniform, a title, a decision, none of that. Only one that you can make. So, should you join the military? I don't know. But I do know this. The military cannot give you an identity. It can only expose the one you build while you're there. And I think that's the conversation we should have been having all along. You know, like, I almost didn't even make this video, y'all, because I knew somebody was going to hear it and think, oh, so you're saying don't join. No, man, that's not what I'm saying at all. If anything, I'm telling you to respect it more. Respect what you're asking it to do. Respect what you're asking yourself to do. Because the military is not some cheat code for life. It isn't a personality. It isn't a shortcut. And honestly, that's what makes it beautiful. Because nothing worth becoming comes with the shortcut. Not confidence, discipline, leadership, not character, respect. All those fun keywords, you know, you earn those. One decision at a time, one miserable Tuesday at a time, one kept promise at a time, you know. I still think about my buddy every now and then, man. And I don't think he made a bad decision for joining. I just think he expected the military to solve a problem that it was never meant to solve in the first place. The military gave him exactly what he signed up for. The lifestyle, the responsibility, the expectations, the hardship. It just wasn't the life that he wanted. And there's a lesson in that for all of us. Before you chase the outcome, you need to make sure you're willing to live the lifestyle that creates it. Because everybody wants to be respected. Very few people are willing to become respectable. Everybody wants confidence, but very few people are willing to repeatedly do things they're bad at until they're not. Everybody wants to be dangerous. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable long enough to become dangerous. And I think that's true whether you're talking about the military, starting a business, raising a family, following Christ, or just becoming a better man. The process is almost never glamorous, man. Most of it's boring. It's super repetitive. Most of it feels like nothing is happening. Until one day you look back and you're like, wait, I'm not the same person who started. And that's how change actually works. It's so slow, you don't notice it while it's happening. It's kind of like the boiling frog story. You guys ever heard about that? If you drop a frog into boiling water, it's just going to jump out immediately. But if you place it in cool water and slowly heat it until it boils, the frog will stay in the water until it's cooked to death. It's very similar to this because someday, somebody from your hometown is going to see you and they're going to be like, dang, bro, you've changed. And you're going to laugh because you never noticed. You were too busy just showing up every day. So if you're thinking about joining, I'm not going to tell you yes. I'm not going to tell you no. I'm just going to tell you to be brutally honest with yourself. What are you really chasing? Because if it's challenge, go chase it. If it's growth, chase it. Service, chase it. If it's becoming someone you're proud of, absolutely go and chase it. But just don't expect the uniform to do your push-ups for you. Don't expect the title to build your character. Don't expect that Eagle, Globe, and Anchor to replace the work that only you can do. The Marine Corps has given me opportunities. It's given me brothers. It's given me stories I'll tell for the rest of my life. And it's given me a standard that still pushes me years after the uniform came off. For that, I am always going to be grateful. But the greatest thing it ever gave me was proof. Proof that I was capable of more than what I believed. Proof that I was capable of more than I believed. And once you got that, nobody can take it away. So if you're watching this because you're thinking about joining, I hope you do it for all the right reasons. And if you're already in, I hope this reminds you why you started. And if you're out, I hope you remember the best parts of who you became were never stitched into the uniform. They were built underneath it. All right, I'm done yapping, y'all. I'll see you guys in the next one.